That is my pack empty. Nothing else in there. Nothing in that one. This one's just got my fuel and a machete. Nothing really. Small flashlight in there. This is just take up space. It'll also work as a pillow. It's a neck brace up my back of my truck seat. In here I just have a shake. I have this sweet potatoes and chicken and rice. I got a shake, a breakfast, a couple drink mixes, sport, and some tent sticks. And I emptied my canteen already, my Vargo. An iced tea, 2 waters. Sawyer, you can get more water if I climb down to it. Bivy, not 550 but 750. A net just in case I needed it. In case it was too hot for the bivy, I could sleep in the net. Doesn't really weigh anything. So my cook pot, bandana. Up here, hat, 45 sleeping bag, camera bag, chest strap for a camera, headlight, light, string beams and glasses, curtain poles. That's, oh, and then over here I get my Tyvek and my Z light. When it's hot, you sleep with the yellow side up. When it's cold, you sleep with the silver side up, reflects the heat back. Finish those off. Left skins, bears will come by and eat those. There's bear crap all over the place up here. So I'm gonna have lunch, kick back about half an hour, cool down, and continue. The beauty about carrying these water bottles is you can refill your canteen. You keep this cool inside your pack. You can refill your canteen when they're empty. Knock them down to nothing. Cap them. A lot less weight, a lot less bulk in your pack. And then you just throw them in the recycling thing when you get home. There's my cook set. This is the pop can stove. This fits in here. This smashes down there. That caps it. It goes in here. And then that goes in the Vargo. Top goes on top of the Vargo. That's my whole cook set this time around. Most times around, unless I'm frying something. But it's not happening. I've got one bottle of water, a few swallows of another bottle, and quarter of an iced tea. And my original plan was to catch a fire road back here that goes up, that hits the top of this, and then from this it shoots up to South Hawkins, where my car is parked. So now I've dropped down onto this Pigeon Ridge Road. I'm gonna take this Pigeon Ridge Road back because I know where there's a spring that flows year round, and I can get some water and I can put this schmog in the water, dampen it, and I feel like I'm gonna pass out. It is hot. So this road, long and windy road, I think it's 4.5 miles one way, but piece of cake, especially hitting that water. Hit that water. I will fill my canteen and my I'll just hydrate. I don't need to fill the water bottle because from there I've only got about 3 miles roughly to the road. At the road I can drop down into the beginning, the headwaters of the North Fork, and get some water, and then I'll try to hitchhike a ride back up to my car. As long as I'm wearing this pack and this hat, usually somebody recognizes me and pulls over and gives me a ride. But if not, it's gonna be a long walk. In the San Gabriels, I'm not speaking for everywhere because, I mean, I don't know all of your areas, but in the San Gabriels, if you're looking for water and you start to see poison oak like that, you're close. There's usually a spring. It might not be flowing, but there's usually a spring where you see poison oak. And when there's big old patches of it like that, you're right on top of the spring. In this case, this would be the spring. Just gotta find a place to get underneath this to get the water. There's not much flowing. Might be back there, might be a little better. I doubt it. This is the lowest I've ever seen this spring in all of my hiking time up here. It stops right there. It's dry right there. Above it, nothing. So it's a seep right here that comes through. It does pick up further up, but it's full of poison oak. And there's one down below over here that adds to it, but I'm just going to keep moving. I think I can make it on what I got. And I wet my schmog. Good to go. Another way you can tell if there are springs nearby, you got these blackberries, wild blackberries. That's what that is. Wild blackberries, they always grow near water. And there's water down there. I can hear a little trickle. Not much though. A big old hawk just came out of that tree there, the big one. Cruised over here and then just shot straight down, all the way down by that river, and then went up. I don't know if he saw something or he just saw me coming. But, where I was trying to get to, I've tried on that trail too. There's a trail there. It's gone. When it gets over here, it's gone. All these old trails are disappearing. This one, I've taken that with Telephoto Joe. We took that all the way to the end, at the east end of Bachota Canyon, way back there. I have a video somewhere. Just punch in Bachota Canyon and you'll see it. We came out walking down there, but it goes way back there. You come out. When I cross this ridge over here, I just got a straight shot down to the road. I've got less than half mile to the road, and then I've probably got about 5 or 6 miles up the road to my truck. I really don't want to walk it. I hope I can get a ride. I'm hoping. Okay, I'm out of water. I've got to go around this, around here, straight down. But my next water source is down there, right below the road. So I'm sort of hurting here. I got a ride from, guess who? Adam. He was down picking some stuff up. Brought me up here, made me a hot dog, Coke, told me some great stories on the way up. When I got up here, he gave me a little article to read, some stuff I never knew. I'll share it with you guys. Okay, Adam just told me the story, but then I read it. He had to go in, customers came. In the date. 2000, around 2000, a fire hit. He used to own the cabin. When you're driving up the mountain, you pass Soldier Creek before you get to the top of the mountain. You see that little spring coming out of the side of the hill, and there's a cabin, there's a turnout on the other side. He used to own that cabin, and there was another guy named Clyde, this guy, who owned another cabin right next to it. There's a pond back there, he says, a pond that's about 15 feet by 20 feet by about 3.5 feet deep. If you ever want to come up here and read this, it's in the cafe. But this is Adam back then. There's Adam with Clyde. Anyway, a fire came, and he smelled smoke, and the fire department said, no worries, it's way down, it's 4 miles down the hill. It's small, we got it under control. But the wind changed, and so did the direction of the fire. So this fire was coming straight up the hill. Fire department came up there and said, get out of here, get the hell out of here. You're about to be burnt out. Everybody's being evacuated. So he jumped in his car. I think it's an El Camino. Yeah, he jumped in it's Clyde El Camino, hit a truck. And he started down the hill. Well, he got down the hill as far as the turn around past Soldier Creek. When he got above Soldier Creek by the water, when the spring comes out, he got down around the corner where you could see Soldier Creek, and there's another road that goes up the side of the hill. Telephone Joe and I always thought those were houses. That's an old cafe. I forget the name of it. I'll ask Adam, and if I can remember, and I'll put it in the details. But he said the fire was coming up the hill. The fire was coming up the hill, and he said he could feel the fire coming up the road. It's going up Soldier Creek, and it's coming in from this side too. And he said right in front of him, he was seeing 60-foot trees on fire, just vanishing. So he could feel all the heat. He just shut off his car and he ran. He ran back up the hill to his house to see if Clyde had gotten in his car. And he said, he went and banged on Clyde's door, and he could hear a German Shepherd. Clyde's a German Shepherd. And he opened the door and he said, we got to get out of here. So they got in, and their idea was they were going to drive up. They were going to drive up to the top, the end of the road. And he said they could be safe there. But fire had gone up Soldier Creek also and cut over. So when they came around the corner, they were just totally blocked. So he abandoned his truck right there and just ran. They ran back to the cabin. And when they got back to the cabin, Clyde's cabin was already gone. That's Clyde's cabin. It was already gone. His cabin was still there. But they could feel the fire everywhere, and the smoke was real thick. So they ran and jumped in the pond, the middle of the pond, 15 by 20 by 3.5 foot deep. He said they laid down in there, held the dog down in there, and they kept wetting their heads. And when the fire would come right next to the banks, they'd get underwater, duck down underwater, and come back up, so they were wet. Well, they were in there for, I believe it's 7 hours? 7 or 8 hours. And the fire burnt itself out. They were dropping things too, but in his area, it burnt it out. His cabin, when they ran out of there, they didn't see his cabin. The too much smoke. So they just ran out of there, got back to the road. They went back up to his car to see if his car was left, and his car was nothing but a molten steel, twisted steel on the road. He looked in the window, and the keys were still in the ignition. He had 20 keys on the keychain, and all the keys were melted into a glob. When he pulled them out, although they were hot, he dropped them on the ground. Only one was separate from the rest, and that was his cabin key. When he ran back up to his cabin, when the smoke cleared, his cabin was untouched. That's the cabin you still see there. He opened it up, they got inside, they kept wetting the area outside from the pond water because it was still hot spots. But they waited there until the next morning. The next morning, the fire department came up and said, we didn't think there was any way in the world you guys were going to be alive. But that was Adam's cabin. Never seen this gate open before. I've never seen this gate open. Whoa. Whoa. Check that out. I'm gonna get out of here. Look at that. No way I want them to come by and lock this gate when I'm in here. So there's the cabin I'm thinking Adam lived in, and the other guy's cabin was right over here. The other one burnt to the ground. This is the spring that leads to the pond that they were in. So the spring, the source of this is what saved Adam's life and the other guy's life. You can see in the wet years, all the moss, you can see it drips. All this is a seep. Now all they have is this, and the one over there. But that's where Adam's first cabin was, up there. The other guy that he was with died of, I believe he said cancer a few years later. I think the lake will be right back there. 20 foot by 15 foot by 3 feet deep. Not really a lake, just the source of the spring. So up here was that other cafe. It burnt down too, and the guy wanted to rebuild it. They said you can rebuild it, but you have to build an up-to-date septic tank because of the water table right here. And then that would be Soldier Creek. 2 cabins back there. So that little driveway that I passed that's blocked off would go right up there. So the cafe would have been right up there. Now, he was going to rebuild it, but they wanted him to build an up-to-date, state-of-the-art septic tank. And they were going to charge him $263,000. And then he had to do an every month maintenance on it to keep the septic tank from getting into that spring and these springs. That's Soldier Creek coming down, and there's a cabin here, a house here, and a house further up. Further one up had a German woman in it, and I think he said 3 or 4 years ago, they were coming up here all the time. She's an older lady, 85. They were coming here all the time, and for the ambulance to come all the way up here, it took a long time. Then to get her back down there, a long time. They were afraid something was going to happen in between, so they called hospice, and they set her up with hospice down in flatlands and lowlands. She lived a week, and then she died. So that one's for sale. The other one, the guy moved to Hemet. He only comes down here a few days a month. So I'm catching up with all the history in the area.